What's going on, knife people? I'm OT, the Lord of Knives, and today we're going to be talking about the 8 must-have knives. If you consider yourself a knife guy or a knife girl, because girls can collect knives too, we try to be politically correct on this channel. Totally sorry there, I thought I had a camera 3. Damn budget cuts. But yeah, if you consider yourself a knife person, then you should have most of, if not all of these knives. These are staples in the knife community. All of which are perfect for getting someone into knives who were previously on the fence about starting the hobby of collecting quality knives. Before we get into the actual list, I want to drop a couple omissions, a couple knives that won't count, because if you live in a state, or in my case a country, that doesn't allow automatic knives, that sucks, and because of that I will have to leave out the Boker Kalashnikov, the Microtech Ultratech, and any knives from the Kershaw launch series. So just get that out of the way, and yeah, let's start this. Alright folks, first things first, we're going to start it off with the knife that paved the way for all these other knives. This is the Buck 110 Folding Hunter. It was originally created so that hunters can bring a folding knife that is reliable into the wild with them to process deer or do whatever camp task they needed, and this definitely proved up to the task, and it processes more deers than a John Deere factory. This knife is a classic with very old-fashioned materials like brass bolsters, diamond wood handles, spring back block. If this knife was a person, it would have a health bracelet that says patient suffers from Alzheimer's and is at a great fall risk. Your collection is lacking if you do not have a classic Buck 110 Folding Hunter.
The next one up is
the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Out of all the modern knives, I personally believe this is the best modern knife. Everything from handle materials, ergonomics, blade materials, the lock type, which is the compression lock, super easy to use, super fast. I've never oiled it up or lubed it up once, and it's still super silky smooth. If there was a Knife Hall of Fame, the committee would deliberate for 3 minutes before inducting this knife, and those deliberations would just be about, should it be tip up or tip down? And I'm always tip up, unless I'm super drunk. This knife is a proven beast, and it belongs in everyone's knife collection. The Benchmade Bugout is literally a featherweight. It's so light, so thin. It was originally made so that backpackers can bring it into the wild, because every ounce counts, and this thing literally weighs almost nothing. Very thin. You can almost put this in your wallet. That's how thin it is. Almost. It has a good amount of blade, good amount of handle. That axis lock makes it super easy to use, and is probably the most popular Benchmade in the last 3 or 4 years or so. And a large reason for that is for the fellas on Blade HQ, mainly Kurt. He loves this knife. If you guys haven't checked out Blade HQ, check out their channel. And once a year they drop the most popular knives, and this always ranks right near the top. So one of Benchmade's best knives, the Benchmade Bugout. Check it out. This here is the Kershaw Leek. It's thin, it's sleek, it's curvy, sexy, seductive. You know, if I'm talking like I'm attracted to this knife, it's because I am. This knife is literally a fidgeter's dream. That action on this knife, it's perfect. It does suck that this is only a tip down carry. The successor of this knife, which is the Kershaw Dividend, could have easily made this list, but I don't know. I feel like this knife is just a little better than the Kershaw Dividend, and I don't have the Kershaw Dividend. This knife with its super pointy tip, curvaceous body frame, thin profile, it is a must-have, and I personally believe it is the best Kershaw, so I definitely think you should check it out if you don't have one. You ever just wake up and say, today is the day I'm gonna get some work done? Then that is the day that you reach for the Leatherman Wave, because it's really easy to use. 4 of the main tools are accessible from the outside of the multi-tool, like the serrated blade, the regular blade, the saw, and the file. This knife is super hardworking, it's durable, strong. Years ago, this was the gold standard of multi-tools. I know they got the whole Gerber center drive. Victorinox makes a whole bunch of good multi-tools, and now they got the new Leatherman Free, where you can just open it with one hand. But for many years, the Leatherman Wave was the gold standard. I think it is a perfect balance between practicality and utility. I personally think if you should have one multi-tool, then you would not be wrong if you chose the Leatherman Wave. It is just a great multi-tool. Simple as that. The Opinel number 8 is the most sliciest blade on the market, and out of all these knives is definitely the cheapest knife, being right around 20 bucks. If the Buck 110 is an old man, then this is an antique, because this knife came out in 1836, I believe, and the French have been making it pretty much the same ever since. They've added this little collar lock, which I think is really cool. But yeah, it has a zero grind, nice girthy handle, 90-degree spine. This is the quintessential farmer's knife for Europe, and I personally believe that the Opinel deserves to be in everyone's collection just because it's 20 bucks. This knife slices like Muhammad Ali punches. This knife cuts like a diamond saw cutting through chalk. Yet even its edge could not cut as deep as a sun's failure. Sorry, I had to quote Game of Thrones really quick. I am a big Game of Thrones nerd, in case you haven't already guessed. Opinel number 8, $20. Get it in your collection, $20. This is the Victorinox Tinker and the Victorinox Spartan. I know it's two knives, but I'm just going to count it as one entry because they're basically the same knife. The only difference is one of them has a corkscrew and one of them has a Phillips screwdriver. I personally lean towards the Tinker a little more, but you couldn't go wrong with either one. I think this is the quintessential Victorinox. It has all the tools that you need. It is a 91 millimeters. So it has a good amount of blade, sturdy back lock. It is the perfect support class knife, you know? If you want to cut something on rocks or on metal and you don't want to use your PM2 or your nicer blade, this is the knife that's going to lie down on the wire so that the others can get across. This knife is like the foundation under a fat person's bed. This knife is the Rob Gronkowski to the Tom Brady. The toast to your bacon and eggs. Victorinox Spartan or Tinker support class knife. I had to include a Victorinox on this list or else this just wouldn't be a good list. Lastly, we're going to talk about the Ontario Rat Model 1 or the Ontario Rat 1. It's made in Taiwan. It has the D2 steel, a comfortable plastic handle. This knife is literally the Mario of the knife world. It has good action, good blade materials, good handle materials, good lock type, good amount of blade, good blade shape. It's good on all fronts. It's not an amazing knife by any means, but in every aspect of a knife, this knife is good. And I fully believe that it's just an all-around great purchase. If you're thinking about getting into knives and you wanted your first quality knife, I would definitely suggest the Ontario Rat 1, simply because of all the things I named, and it has a good price. That also plays a big role into making these decisions. So good on every front. Ontario Rat 1 is a great knife for beginners, great knife for anyone really. So definitely check that one out. I know all of these knives are folding knives, but in case you guys have noticed, I am wearing a neck knife, and that is the CRKT Minimalist. It is the bonus knife on the list because of that handle. I just can't get enough of this knife. It probably is my most used knife now, and I'm gonna bring it to the wild. I bring it out running. I think it is the perfect entry knife for small fixed blades. The CRKT Minimalist, it is a great knife, and if this list was 9 must-have knives, then this would have been the 9th one. But a couple honorable mentions: the Civivi Elementum, which is like the Honda Civic of knives. It's probably like the most popular knife nowadays. The Cold Steel Recon 1, which is probably the most popular knife from Cold Steel. That's a great large knife. I couldn't include any like really large knives because I don't have any really large folders. But if you are into large folders, I would definitely suggest the Cold Steel Recon one. The Spyderco Delica on the opposite end of the spectrum, which is a sub 3-inch knife. Probably one of the most popular sub 3-inch knives. I just didn't want to include two Spydercos.
All right, let's do a quick rundown. We got the Buck 110 Folding Hunter, the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, the Benchmade Bugout, the Kershaw Leek, the Leatherman Wave, the Opinel number 8, the Victorinox Spartan or the Tinker, and the Ontario Rat 1.
But I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the content here. Comment down below if I missed any knives or if you wanted to add a knife to the list. Let's talk knives. And remember, folks, the early knife gets the worm. I'm OT, the Lord of Knives. Stay sharp.